What if you're not lazy? What if the reason you can't start that important task has nothing to do with motivation and everything to do with how many decisions you've already made today? If you've ever spent 20 minutes deciding what to watch, checked your phone without meaning to, researched something random for an hour, and then somehow couldn't find the energy for the thing that actually matters, then this video is for you. Because something invisible may be happening, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. You wake up motivated. Today's the day. You finally start the project, hit the gym, work on the side hustle, learn the skill, become the person you've been promising yourself you become since roughly 3 New Year's resolutions ago. And then somehow it's 9 p.m. You're holding your phone. The project hasn't started, and for some reason you find yourself watching a video called How Medieval Monks Accidentally Invented Financial Accounting. The strange part? You genuinely wanted to be productive. So what happened? Most people assume the answer is discipline. They think productive people simply have more willpower, more grit, more self-control. But what if the problem started long before you sat down to work? Imagine a battery floating above your head at 100%. Every decision drains it. What should I wear? Battery dead. Coffee or tea? Battery dead. Replying now or later? Battery dead. What should I eat? Another dip. Which email first? Another dip. You barely notice it happening. Your brain does. The battery keeps falling. And then sometime later, the important decision finally arrives. Should I start the project? Should I work out? Should I have that difficult conversation? Your brain checks the battery. 1%. And calmly selects later. Here's the part most people never realize. Procrastination happens long before you notice it happening. The moment you avoid the task isn't where the problem started. The problem started hundreds of decisions earlier. All those earlier meaningless decisions led to tiny withdrawals, tiny drains, tiny energy leaks, until eventually the account is empty. That's decision fatigue. And once you understand it, suddenly a lot of your behavior starts to make sense. Now here's where it gets interesting. Not all decisions cost the same. Choosing between chicken and pasta? Tiny cost. Choosing whether to move across the country? Huge cost. Leaving a relationship? Huge cost. Where to invest your savings? Huge cost. Some decisions don't just require a choice. These decisions don't just ask you to choose, they pull your mind into the future. What happens if this works? What happens if it falls apart? Now you're not making a decision anymore. You're forecasting consequences, scanning for danger, rehearsing regret before it even exists. Your brain isn't just choosing, it's fighting through a storm of possibilities, trying to protect you from the wrong outcome. And that costs more than people realize. Think about your own day. Morning, battery is full. Afternoon, battery is lower. Evening, you're negotiating with yourself about whether brushing your teeth counts as productivity. Yet somehow, most people schedule their biggest life decisions at 10 p.m. Exhausted, eating leftovers, half watching something they don't even care about. It's like trying to close a business merger while your phone is at 2%. And before you think this is just self-help theory, here's a real-world example that should actually scare you. Researchers studied parole boards and found something strange. Judges were significantly more likely to approve parole at the beginning of a session. As decisions piled up throughout the day, approvals dropped dramatically. Then after a break, approval rates recovered. The cases hadn't changed, the judges had. That's terrifying. Even highly trained professionals, people whose entire career is making careful decisions, aren't immune to an empty battery. Now think about doctors. Imagine making life or death decisions for 10 straight hours. Patient after patient, diagnosis after diagnosis. Then one more patient walks through the door. The patient is new, the doctor isn't. Mental fatigue doesn't care about credentials. It doesn't care about training. It affects everyone. Not because they're careless, because they're human. That's why some of the most successful people are obsessed with eliminating small decisions. Take Steve Jobs, black turtleneck, every day. Barack Obama, blue suit, every day. Mark Zuckerberg, gray t-shirt, every day. At some point, these incredibly successful people looked at unlimited options and decided, you know what? 2 outfits is enough. Which sounds boring until you realize the point wasn't fashion. The point was protecting mental energy, because they understood something most people don't. Every unnecessary decision steals energy from important ones. Of course, once people saw Steve Jobs doing it, things got weird. Suddenly everybody wanted the black turtleneck. Remember Elizabeth Holmes? Apparently some people looked at Steve Jobs and thought, the turtleneck, that's what made Apple. As it turns out, copying Steve Jobs' outfit isn't significantly easier than copying Steve Jobs. Which is funny because for decades, businessmen were all basically dressed like they were in the same witness protection program. And then when you watch science fiction, and apparently the future works the same way. Everybody's wearing one outfit, one color, one vibe. Maybe aliens figured out what we haven't. Maybe after a certain level of intelligence, getting dressed stops being a personality quiz. But decision fatigue gets even more dangerous because corporations understand it very well. Ever wonder why candy bars live near the checkout line? It's not an accident. By the time you finish shopping, you've already made dozens of decisions. Brands, prices, quantities, comparisons. Your mental battery is lower, your resistance is weaker, and suddenly, that candy bar starts making a very convincing argument. The shiny wrapper isn't smarter than you. It's just meeting you at your weakest moment. And then, decision fatigue evolves into something even worse. Decision avoidance. Analysis paralysis. The brain becomes so afraid of making the wrong choice, so it chooses no choice, which feels safe at first, until weeks pass, months pass, sometimes years pass, and the thing you were waiting to decide is still there waiting, exactly where you left it. This is exactly what it feels like. You open the laptop, look at the project, you know it matters, you know it would change things, you know you can do it, but somehow it feels heavier than it should. Like somebody secretly increased gravity. So you don't choose action, you choose avoidance. Not because you're lazy, because your brain is exhausted. The uncomfortable truth. Most people spend their best mental energy on things that don't deserve it. Notifications, arguments online, endless comparisons, decisions that don't matter. Then they expect their best work from whatever energy is left over. That's like spending your entire paycheck on snacks and wondering why the rent feels so stressful. Protect your best energy for what actually deserves it. So what do you actually do about it? The solution isn't becoming tougher. It isn't more discipline. It's protecting the battery. First, automate what doesn't matter. Meals, bills, morning routines, clothes. Anything repeatable that doesn't require original thought. Remove it from your daily decision list entirely. Second, batch your important decisions. Handle difficult thinking earlier in the day when the battery is full. Stop saving hard things for when you're already running on empty. Third, limit your options deliberately. Most decisions don't need to be perfect. They need to be good enough and made. Fourth, rest intentionally. Walk. Step away from screens. Let the battery recover before it hits zero. Because recovery isn't laziness. Recovery is strategy. And finally, fifth, if a major decision isn't urgent, sleep on it. Tomorrow's brain is almost always smarter than tonight's brain. Because here's what this is all about. Focus isn't just about effort, it's about preservation. The people who seem most disciplined aren't necessarily stronger than everyone else. They just arrive at important moments with energy still available. That's the difference. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not secretly incapable of the life you want. You're just someone who kept reaching into the battery for things that didn't deserve it, until there was nothing left for the things that did. The project wasn't impossible. The workout wasn't too hard. The goal wasn't unrealistic. You just reached the starting line with an empty battery. And once you learn to protect that battery, everything starts to change. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I'll do it later," don't ask what's wrong with you. Ask a different question. How many decisions have I already made today? Because that answer might explain more than the motivation ever could. You're not lazy. You're just out of decisions. And that you can actually fix.